everyone, this is Mrs. Fritz. This is Try3 Science for Tuesday, May 12th. So at this point in the week, I want you to make sure that first you have watched and completed the May 11th Edpuzzle video and questions. You know, that gives you half of your points. So 10 of your points for yesterday's assignment came from watching and completing the questions in the Edpuzzle video. And then you also need to make sure that you have completed the CK12 section 2.3 on kinetic energy Google Notes doc. So you read the section, make sure you watch the videos, you can answer the practice questions or the quiz, and then fill in your Google Notes doc. So we are going to pick up from here. Week 2 reminders. Make sure that you are watching this video for every assignment this week. So we're utilizing Edpuzzle. Remember that Edpuzzle asks you questions that are embedded within the video to make sure that you understand what you're watching. It records the time you spend on the video. It keeps you from skipping ahead. And it shows me the answers to the questions. So please make sure that you're doing that. Again, join me in office hours every day if you need to get help with your assignments. And remember to come to Live Science every day at 1 o'clock. If we're not improving our turnout there, we might have to cancel that and just do typical office hours, which might be kind of boring. So come to Live Science. It's actually kind of fun. So your assignment for Tuesday, May 12th. Your objectives are to define potential energy this time and to be able to list and describe the different types of potential energy. So those types of potential energy are gravitational potential energy, elastic potential energy, and chemical potential energy. So your assignment is, yes, first, watch this Edpuzzle video, answer the questions as they pop up. That'll earn you 10 points. Then go to your CK12 section 2.4. That is the potential energy section. You're going to read the information in the section, watch the short videos, take the practice quiz, and then answer the questions in the Google Notes doc for 10 points. So let's look and see what this section looks like. So when you get to 2.4 on potential energy, this is what you'll see. So let's talk about some of the ideas that are discussed here in this section. So we see a diver standing on a diving board. We can all see by now that once the diver leaves the diving board and is falling towards the water, that is obviously kinetic energy. It's the energy of motion, which is what you read about yesterday. But what about when she is just standing on the diving board, still waiting to dive into the water? Does she have any energy? Well, the answer is yes. She has stored energy, which we call potential energy. So potential energy is energy that is stored in a person or object, and it typically has to do with the position that they're in or the shape that it's in. So in this case, our diver has what we call gravitational potential energy. So gravitational potential energy is the energy that something has that is stored relative to its position. So you know that the force of gravity pulls everything towards the center of the earth. So if you are standing somewhere where you have the ability to fall down, that means you have gravitational potential energy. So anytime you can fall down, you can move downwards closer to the earth, you have gravitational potential energy. So in these two pictures you can see, if you're at the top of a hill on a sled waiting to go, you have gravitational potential energy. Now when the bomb lets go and the sled goes down the hill, we'll turn that gravitational potential energy that was stored into kinetic energy of motion down the hill. Same thing with a girl on the balance beam here. She can obviously fall. So she has gravitational potential energy. Now, gravitational potential energy has to do with two things: the weight of the person or object and the height, how high up the person or object is. So you calculate gravitational potential energy by multiplying something's weight by its height above the ground. Weight is measured in newtons, height in meters, so gravitational potential energy is in Newton meters, which is also called a joule. So remember back to the very first energy assignment, we said that energy is measured in joules. So this is an example of how we calculate energy and have it measured in the unit called a joule. It's a Newton meter. I want you to make sure that you watch this short video. It's really neat. It's on roller coasters and how kinetic and potential energy is utilized to make a roller coaster go through the entire track, and how the energy is converted, and then in the end how it is eventually dissipated and the roller coaster comes to a stop. So if you like roller coasters, you'll especially like this video. So make sure you watch that. It gives you a real life example of kinetic and potential energy in motion. So let's talk about another type of potential energy, which is elastic potential energy. So elastic potential energy has to do with something's shape. So anything that can be stretched or bent, and then it has a tendency to spring back to its original shape, has elastic potential energy. So you might think of a rubber band. When you stretch it, you have stored potential energy, and when you let it go, you change that elastic potential energy, into kinetic energy. You might also think of a spring. Springs have elastic potential energy. A trampoline has elastic potential energy. This pogo stick, there's a spring at the bottom of this pogo stick which makes it work. That has elastic potential energy. So you can think of lots of examples of elastic potential energy where something is sort of bent or stretched and it has a tendency to spring back. That is elastic potential energy. A couple other forms of potential energy that are listed. One is really important, especially to some of the science that we're going to get into in 10th and 11th grade, is chemical energy. Chemical potential energy is stored in the bonds between atoms of compounds. So when we eat our breakfast, our food is actually stored energy. It's chemical potential energy. And when our body breaks it down, it releases that energy, and we use it to do things in our body and to do things like run, move, walk, talk. We also have nuclear potential energy, which is the energy that's stored within the nucleus of an atom. And so if we break that nucleus apart, we release that energy. You might think of the hydrogen bomb. Atomic bombs break the bonds of the atoms, or of the particles in the nucleus of an atom, and release all of that stored energy in there in a very big way. This is a really neat video. You're gonna like this guy. He's got a dry sense of humor. He's kind of funny, but wait till you see what he does with this big heavy pendulum. So make sure you watch this. And he relates it to the law of conservation of energy. So we've talked about what is potential energy, the different types of potential energy: gravitational, elastic, chemical, and nuclear potential energy. We have gone over some examples of them. You can answer these review questions. Kind of make sure that you can answer them to yourself in your head. You can do the practice questions that are here, and then make sure that you go over to the section 2-4 notes on potential energy. So again, there are 10 questions, which will get you the second half of your score for today. These are your other 10 points. So give some basic definitions, and I've asked you to give a couple examples of these types of energy. And then there are 3 questions from the first video down there on the bottom of that page that you'll want to answer. And please don't forget to click Turn It In when you're done with this. Right, so let's finish up for today. My daily reminders: make sure you watch the Edpuzzle video for every assignment. Open the assignment and start working. Get help if you need it. Please remember to click the Turn It In button. Very important. That's the only way I know that you've finished an assignment and that I can go ahead and check in and give you points for it. And make sure that you have your assignments due by midnight each day. Don't forget about live science class. It happens every day at 1 o'clock sharp. Come in. It is kind of fun. We all talk, we visit, we hang out, we have live poll questions. I show you one cool thing. You can chat with your friends and your teachers, and then you have an actual chance to ask us any questions. I usually run through the assignment and give you some practice questions that will help you with what you have to turn in. So please don't forget to come to live science if you can. All right, we're in week 2. I think everybody's finally getting the hang of this, so just keep it up. You can do this. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.